What's up, nation? Today let's talk about a new software update coming to the PS5 with a welcome feature, Cyberpunk 2077 sales crossing over 13 million, and Gamestop now offering refunds of the game as well. Alright everyone, so we got a few different stories to cover today. The first of which is a new software feature that is coming to the PlayStation 5 and is actually available now, and that is a feature that allows you to clearly distinguish which version of the game you are about to launch, because up to this point there has not been an easy way, if you have a PS4 title, to tell if you're going to launch the PS4 version of that game or the PS5 version. So now there's a very welcome addition that allows you to see when you boot up the game which version you're going to play through. So I want to talk through that and what to expect with that firmware update, and then maybe what we can expect going forward from Sony in firmware updates and tweaks. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is actually Cyberpunk 2077 and the incredible sales. The numbers that they have now reported is over 13 million units sold. Now this does not factor in returns, so we're going to talk through what that might look like for CD Projekt Red and also why they released these numbers to begin with. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is GameStop actually getting in on the refund action with Cyberpunk 2077 through an internal employee memo. They are not shouting this out to the mass audiences, but it does appear that they are now going to be allowing open returns of Cyberpunk 2077 on the physical copy. Now, before we do hop into all the details today, I just want to quickly invite everybody to join Sunbro Nation. If you haven't done so already, do so by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy the content today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming and console news as we're in the new generation of gaming. But with that, guys, let's dive into the details. So you may have noticed, if you've played any of your PS4 games on your PS5 and there is a PS5 version of that game available, that there is currently not a simple way to actually go in and view which version of the game you are playing. It's so confusing that people have actually been playing PS4 versions through a backwards compatibility of games that they would have actually been able to play the PS5 version of, because it's been buried in the settings menu up to this point. Now, Sony has not handled this quite as nicely as Microsoft has with their smart delivery feature, which actually allows the games to auto upgrade if they do have that upgrade available. Instead, Sony has chosen to leave this up to the developers, and before this new feature that they just released today, we have not seen an easy way to tell which version of the game you are playing. You will now be prompted by a pop-up screen that actually shows which version you're about to launch. So do you want to play the PS4 version, or are you wanting to play the PS5 version, because that is available for this game. So this is a very welcome feature. It's just one of those small quality of life improvements that I think we'll continue to see Sony do and tweak, because obviously anytime we go with a new UI and we get a new console launch, there are a number of noticeable missing features for the most part, and Sony hasn't always paid the most attention to backwards compatibility, but because of some of the titles like Ghost of Tsushima and different ones that release at the end of the PS4's life cycle, people are still wanting to enjoy those games and make sure they're playing on the most upgraded graphics and frame rates and everything. You want to take advantage of the new tech in the PS5, and this is now making it super clear on which version of the game you're playing. So it's a small, nice little upgrade. I hope we continue to see Sony release little firmware patches to the UI and new features that are going to be welcome addition for gamers to clearly choose which version of the games that they're playing. And hopefully one day we'll just see them kind of adopt more of the smart delivery type of service, where it's not even an option for developers, but that if you're releasing it on both platforms, that you're automatically going to be playing on the PS5 version. But I think as we get further into the console life cycle, we will see more things like this, and it'll be more clear, so you're not searching around in the settings to make sure you're playing the right version of the game. And then save files is a whole nother debacle that they kind of need to tackle to make all of the saves compatible from the PS4 to the PS5. But let me know your guys' thoughts on how backwards compatibility has been for you so far, and if you're excited to see this feature come to the PS5. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is everyone's favorite open world RPG right now. That is Cyberpunk 2077, and we now have CD Projekt Red confirming that they have crossed over 13 million units sold. I want to talk through the reasons on why they actually released that data to begin with, because it does appear that they are in some hot water with some of their investors that backed this project after everything that's happened and all the heat that they've received from gamers, and they're facing class action lawsuits and maybe lawsuits from the investors themselves. That they are still trying to show how much hype and popularity was behind this game and how much demand was there, and they are claiming that these numbers do factor in some of the refunds that have been happening both digitally and physically as well. So I want to dive through the details of the article and kind of reveal what the reasons is for them sharing these numbers, and then also just what this means for the game going forward. Developer CD Projekt Red has announced a new sales figure for Cyberpunk 2077. The embattled RPG sold more than 13 million copies as of December 20th, which makes it one of the most successful RPG launches of all time. CD Projekt Red said the number covers sales across all platforms, and it also factors in returns submitted by retail clients and brick and mortar as well as digital storefronts. From the wording of this news release, it sounds like 13 million is the number of copies sold, including returns, except for those filed to CDPR when this news release went out. Here's the exact wording that CDPR used. This figure represents the estimated volume of retail sales across all hardware platforms, factoring in returns submitted by retail clients in brick and mortar as well as digital storefronts, i.e. the sell-through figure. Less all refund requests emailed directly to the company by the publication date of this report in the framework of the Help Me Refund campaign. CDPR said it chose to disclose this information to help appease investors and shareholders. The management board has decided to disclose the above information in the form of a current report due to its potential impact on investment-related decisions, the company said. CDPR is a publicly traded company in Poland, and the company's share price has cratered since release of Cyberpunk 2077, which in turn has cost the company's founders more than $1 billion in wealth. So clearly CD Projekt Red is just doing damage control at this point with both consumers and investors alike. When you're talking $1 billion in stock losses, that's obviously a bunch of red flags that go up with the upper management. So it seems that they are trying to release these numbers to appease all their investors and basically show, hey, the game is still extremely successful even with the refunds factored in, which doesn't appear to be all the refunds, and we will have to wait and see how many more happen, but it does seem like they're trying to commit to fixing the game as it goes along. So as the consumer, it really comes down to if you're willing to wait for those patches to come out. It does seem like this will ultimately be a playable game with a acceptable frame rate even on the base PS4 and Xbox One at the end of this whole thing, but it really just comes down to if you're willing to wait for them to kind of finish that project. They were obviously getting a bunch of heat from fans for not, finishing it on the original release dates, and they continue to push it back. And just imagine if this thing would have come out in April like they originally slated for it. Imagine what kind of game we'd be playing at that point. So at least they did delay it as far as they did, but they obviously needed to go a little bit longer, probably more like the January, February, maybe even into March to really polish this thing up and make it the kind of experience that it needs to be for users. But regardless, that's the scenario that they're in right now. And then to add more heat to the fire for them, we also have Gamestop now releasing an internal employee memo that basically allows people just so you can go into your GameStop and actually return this. Now, it didn't seem like they wanted to blast it out like Best Buy, and kind of just say to everybody, hey, yeah, we're doing the physical returns. But basically, if you have a scenario where you walk into a game or you purchase this from a GameStop, you walk in there, they are actually instructing their employees to accept a refund of a open case, which GameStop has historically never done. But obviously, we're in a very unique scenario with Cyberpunk 2077. So as according to the employee internal memo, that they are actually allowing this to happen. So if you did purchase this game from GameStop and you're unhappy with it and you're unwilling to wait for the patches to come out to fix it, especially if you're playing it on previous generation hardware, it's something that you actually can go do and GameStop will honor. GameStop has joined the growing number of retailers that are fully refunding customers who bought Cyberpunk 2077, according to an internal memo acquired by Kotaku. The memo instructs GameStop employees to accept Cyberpunk 2077 returns on PS4 and Xbox One, even if the game has been opened, and label the game as defective before shipping them back to the GameStop warehouse. The company's official return policy states that full refunds are typically only available on unopened products, making this policy an unusual exception. Customers wanting to return Cyberpunk 2077 will still need to do so within 30 days of purchase. So it'll be interesting to see if we see Walmart or any other major retailers jump in on this, maybe even Target. But it looks like now if you've bought it digitally or physically from GameStop, Best Buy, Sony, or Microsoft, you literally have the option to, even though this game has been out for, a week and a half, 2 weeks now, you still have the option now to go and get a full refund back. So it's kind of something crazy. I've never seen anything like this in gaming. It's really something that you only see happen nowadays because you do have the option for things things like day one patches, and you can technically ship a game that is actually unplayable, and then you can update it after it's out. Back in the day, that was not possible. If the game was broken, it was just broken. Well, now they're trying to fix it as they go, but they're obviously running into a bunch of hurdles along the way. But I would love to know what you guys' thoughts are on this, and if you're planning on returning your copy to GameStop if you purchased it there, or if you're going to wait to hopefully see, you know, Walmart or anybody else joins in, or if you are already planning, you know, on just not messing with the game anymore, if you're going to just ride out through the patches and continue to enjoy the experience as much as possible. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do, at this point in the video, want to invite you all to leave me a comment. Let me know what your opinions are on the new Sony update, and if that's a very welcome feature for you. And let me know if you maybe have actually accidentally been playing a PS4 version of a game prior to this update and didn't realize it. And then also just share your overall thoughts on Cyberpunk 2077 and what your experience has been with it so far. Now, before we do end the video, I just want to quickly invite everybody one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below. Hit the like button on your way out on this video if you enjoyed the content today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming and console news as we're in the new generation of gaming. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.